According to the Holy Scriptures, all current peoples are descendants of Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. This also applies to black people and other ethnic groups with dark skin, whose Hamite lineage originates from Ham, one of Noah's sons. Ham is the brother of Shem and Japheth, who respectively represent the Semitic peoples, i.e. Arabs, Jews, Syrians, and the Japhethites, i.e. Europeans and Asians. The term Hamites originally referred to people descended from Ham, one of Noah's sons, according to the Bible. According to the book of Genesis, after the flood, Noah and his three sons were charged with continuing the lineage of Adam and his descendants. With just 8 people, Noah, his wife, their 3 sons, and their 3 daughters-in-law, humanity needed to start over. Ham, son of Noah, is recognized as the ancestor of African and black peoples. In the Bible, his name was always associated with Africa. In fact, the book of Psalms places him as the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians. It is interesting to note that in antiquity, ancient tales of the Jewish people and other ancient traditions always identified Ham as the ancestor of African peoples. Furthermore, all interpretations of Ham's children point to African countries and regions. It is curious that the name Ham itself, in Hebrew, Aramaic, and other ancient languages, means burned or dark in reference to the skin tone of his descendants. In chapter 10 of the book of Genesis, between verses 6 and 14, it is possible to obtain more information about the lineage of Ham, and also about the Hamite peoples. The text presents Ham's descendants, Cush, father of several African peoples, and Mizraim, father of the ancient Egyptians. It is important to mention that Arabs, Jews, Syrians, and other peoples refer to Egypt as Mizraim in reference to its originator. Other sons of Ham are Put, also known as Phut, and Canaan, who is the father of the Canaanites, not the Africans. It is essential to understand that Canaan represents a distinct region and people. The sons of Cush include Havilah, Sapta, Rama, Sheba, and Nimrod. At the beginning of his reign, Babel and other cities were part of his domain. Nimrod, who was an ancestor of the native peoples of ancient Babylon, the Sumerians, left for Syria, where he founded 2 or 3 cities. Furthermore, Mizraim was the ancestor of Ludim, who are North African peoples such as the Anamites, Lehabites, Naphtuhites, Pathrusites, and Casluhites. From these descended the Philistines and Caphtorites. Ham's firstborn son, Cush, gave rise to many nations and peoples, including the people of Ethiopia. All Ethiopians are descended from Cush, as are the people of Nubia, also known in antiquity as the Kingdom of Cush. These are the main nations and peoples spawned by Cush, son of Ham. They are not limited to Cush and Nubia, including the Kingdom of Cush, the Kingdom of Nubia, and the ancient Sumerians. Nimrod, rebellious son of Cush, is considered the ancestor of the people of Sumer. Furthermore, the peoples of South India, including those native to the region, are believed to be of Cush's descent, as are many other Africans, such as Malayans, Eritreans, Kenyans, Congolese, and Bantus from Gabon. The term Cush is often associated with Ethiopia, Sudan, and Africa in the Bible, and its literal meaning is Ethiopia, or black. Cush was also the father of Canaan and Mizraim. Mizraim is considered the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians and many North African peoples, including the Berbers. Mizrahi is considered the ancestor of the ancient Egyptians and many North African peoples, including the Berbers and the dark-skinned Tuaregs. It is fascinating to note that all Semitic peoples, such as the Aramaeans, Arabs, and Israelites, refer to Egypt as Mizrahi. This designation is used in several ancient languages, such as Aramaic, Arabic, and Hebrew. In the book of Psalms, chapter 78, verse 51, it is mentioned that he smote the firstborn in Egypt, the first fruits of manhood in the tents of Ham. Besides Mizrahi, Ham also had a son named Put or Phut. An interesting curiosity is that the name Put or Phut originates from the word that means landmark and is a reference to tribal hunters in Africa. Put is considered the father of the native black Libyans of Libya, as well as several other African peoples. Now about the famous curse of Ham concerning Canaan. Many people in antiquity misinterpreted the curse of Ham, or Canaan, described in the book of Genesis chapter 9. The text says that after Noah got drunk, his son Ham did not help him and instead told the other brothers that his father was naked and drunk in order to mock his father. But there is more than one interpretation of this text. Noah placed the curse on one of the sons of Ham, specifically on Canaan. It seems like a lot of exaggeration on Noah's part, but at the time, the relationship of respect toward the father was something almost sacred. Although Noah was apparently wrong to be drunk in this way, interpretations of these texts suggest that Noah would have gotten drunk accidentally, an act that had never been done before. He would have accidentally discovered wine and got drunk without knowing it, hence why God does not punish him. It is worth mentioning that Cam and his other 3 children, Cush, Mizrahi, and Put, are originally from African peoples. It is important to emphasize that the black peoples were not cursed, but instead Canaan, the father of the Canaanites, who inhabited the Middle East. It was he who received Noah's curse, not the African peoples. It is crucial to clarify that interpreting the biblical text as if African peoples have been cursed is a serious error and false interpretation. The curse falls on Canaan, the ancestor of the Canaanite or Canaanite peoples. We know that Cam is the ancestor of all African and South Indian peoples. Because he was born before the flood, he enjoyed a much longer lifespan, being able to witness even the 5th and 6th generation of his family and ancestry. Interestingly, just as Shem lived to be approximately 600 years old, and also lived around that age or even longer, although there is no precise confirmation of how old he lived, as the biblical texts do not mention it. It is presumed that he reached the 600-year-old mark like his brother. It is not known for sure where Cam's tomb is located, but according to some theories and studies, it may be in the Ethiopian region or even in Nubia. Others claim that he is buried in Mesopotamia, in the land of the Sumerians. However, many agree that Ham's tomb is in Africa, more precisely in Sudan or Ethiopia. Some even suggest that he could be buried in Egypt, which is quite intriguing and interesting, since Egypt is a country full of mysteries, and people buried 3,000 or 4,000 years ago are constantly being discovered. The Book of Jubilees provides us with more information about Ham's old age and about events involving Noah's family and the 3 lineages: the lineage of Ham, the lineage of Shem, and the lineage of Japheth. This ancient Jewish manuscript, which was believed to be true in the time of Christ and even earlier, reports that Ham completely disapproved of his youngest son Canaan's decision to dwell in the land of Shem, which is now known as Israel. Ken did not agree with the attitude of his son Canaan to take those lands for himself. In the Book of Jubilees, it is reported that Cush and Mizrahi, brothers of Canaan, along with their father Ham, disapproved of Canaan's decision to dwell in the land of Shem, which is the region that today corresponds to Israel. Like Ham, they also showed disapproval of Canaan's attitude. They go to Canaan and order him to leave that land, as they believe that African lands were reserved for the descendants of Ham. However, Canaan disobeys and continues to dwell in that land, completely ignoring the will of his father and his brothers, Mizrahi and Cush. The Book of Jubilees relates that Ham was the founder of the first city and the first province after the flood. He named the city after his dear wife, Malay Tamlak. In the city of Malay Tamlak, Cam lays the foundation of a new world, a world shaped by the dreams of the past and the hopes of the future. Through the eyes of Cam, we glimpse at the complexities of human existence, the frailty of flesh, and the resilience of the human spirit. And in the echoes of his footsteps, we hear the whispered prayers of generations past, a testament to the enduring power of faith and humanity. As the narrative draws to a close, we are left with more questions than answers, more shadows than light. Yet, in the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope, a spark of humanity that refuses to be extinguished. And in that hope, we find redemption, a promise of a better tomorrow, forged in the crucible of history and illuminated by the light of truth.